Hey guys, welcome back to MJ Trips. This is an update video for my resource pack for Minecraft Java Edition. My resource pack is called Barely Default, and what I'm about to show you is, I guess it's pretty sweet and simple, should be easy to explain. It is stack-dependent item models, and that's really exciting. That was previously only possible with OPTIFINE, and since the snapshots for 1.21.5, Mojang has added these capabilities to vanilla for pack makers. In a way, that's actually a lot better than how any mod ever allowed for it to be done. Than I'm aware of anyways. For example, an easy thing that I did is quivers for arrows. You know, we see the stack decreases and instantly you see the quiver disappear. I have a model for 1 arrow, 2 arrows, and 3 arrows, and then I think this 3 can just nicely represent just a bunch of them. Until you get to 60, it turns into a quiver, and that's very cool, but it doesn't make sense the way Minecraft dropped items work. Even if we were to take an item that I haven't done this new feature for, stack size dependent items, you can see that the dropped item ultimately becomes more of itself. You know, 1 quiver item, you know, 60 arrows becomes a quiver, right? And then anything above that as well, which is only 4 items, right? But that doesn't make sense if the dropped item suddenly becomes, you know, like 5 quivers or whatever. But Mojang's new system allows for custom models depending on where the items show up, including on the ground. So that's basically what's going on there. The quiver texture shows up everywhere except for on the ground, because I think that doesn't make sense. But there is some other cool stuff going on with all of these. For example, that the math on dropped items will check out. So you can see here, if you drop 1 item, it's the same for any item. If you drop 2 of them, the item texture doubles, right? The dropped item already. So it's it's 1 compass, add 1 to the stack, and it becomes 2 compasses. So the arrows, obviously, 2 arrows is an item texture of 2 arrows, which would be 4. So I did a really I like, this is, nobody cares, okay? But I spent a lot of time on this, making sure the math checks out for these items. So if we add 1 arrow, nothing changes, because well, I can't have multiple models. So there is nothing for 3. So if you add 1, nothing changes. But then if you add 1 more, it changes to the 2 arrow sprite. Still has 2 dropped items, because that's just how Minecraft does it, right? If you have 4 of an item. I mean, I think it stays the same for a lot. I think it only changed at like 17. I mean, I've obviously spent a lot of time testing all the stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's it. And then if you add 2 more, it'll change to the 3 item sprite. And I mean, it stays at that basically the entire time, because that's 3 items is just a nice representation. You know, if you have a full stack, it looks like a lot more than it previously did. And that's good. Makes sense. And that's basically what I did for a lot of items. I mean, I can go like show every item off, but I mean, I guess you get the gist of it, right? So, I mean, I can go like show every item off, but I mean, I guess you get the gist of it, right? I mean, look at me holding 3 sticks right now. Drop them, you know. I mean, look at me holding 3 sticks right now. Drop them. You know, 2 sticks once, you get it, right? It's like, I mean, it's just really nice and immersive. And for sticks and bamboo and blaze rods and breeze rods, I figured that just 3 of them can in any case nicely represent a stack of them. And also the way you use these items, like the way you use sticks, is oftentimes simply like this, right? You have holding a stack, and it looks like a stack of sticks. It looks like a bundle of sticks, right now. And then you drop them down in there, and then they become singular sticks. And if you're making multiple tools, now you have 2 sticks laying it. Like, it's just super immersive, right? Like little immersive changes. I tried to have different numbers for every item, because every item needed a different treatment, basically. And I guess we'll just go over them. For example, sugarcane. The default sugarcane item is this, and then I added a new texture for if it's 1 sugarcane, right? So it's like split in half. It's 1 little twig. Then even if you just add one to it, it's just nice, right? It's just like a nice little change. I know it's like it basically means that this texture only shows up once, which is arguably a bit lame, but this is just a nice way to do it for sugarcane, I figured. And again, it's nice to do, you know, when you're fucking doing it like this. Like, this is just immersive, right? It's just like a fun little mechanism to see. And then at 32, it changes to 3 sugarcane to differentiate it from bamboo, you know, so these items, you know, don't really like look so similar, because they could end up looking similar, right? Especially if you're doing 3 sticks of everything. So this item only changes at half a stack. It changes to this, and then you know, it stays exactly that way until 64. So if you remove 1, it changes to the default. I mean, you get it, right? I mean, I have these items all nicely stacked up. You can see when they change. You know, look at their stack size. Snowballs obviously only stack to 16, so they need a bit of different treatment as well. And because if you're throwing them, you know, if it gets past 12, the ball gets smaller, which just makes sense, right? It's like you're holding a big ball of snow and you're tossing out snowballs. And I don't know, it's just like a nice visual. It just changed again. And that's obviously the same for fire charges, except you need to use a lot more for it to change. So we got a pretty big fire charge right now. And then at like, there you go, it just changed. At 43, it changed. And these numbers might seem really random. Knowing the numbers is actually ruins the fun a little bit. It's more fun if it just dynamically changes. But just trust me that the math on all these numbers for all the items I thought about it real well, and it should be really dynamic in game. For example, it changing at 43 is also a perfect number for these balls, because then in any event, if you have a full stack of them and you take half off, the texture changes, which is just a really nice mechanic. And then all of these ball types kind of change to their default sprite at 22, which is again one of those perfect numbers, because just this mechanic alone, you know, you have a full stack, you split it in half, and you split it in half again, and it keeps changing, and it doesn't change anymore here. But I mean, we're already at a small sprite right now. It just checks out to do it this way, okay? So this works for all of them. You know, it's a nice little dynamic texture change when you take a stack apart. I really like it, actually. Like, I really spent a lot of time on these textures. My glowstone was always animated, so I just, you know, re-added the animation for the other stack sizes, and I made the bigger animation quicker. I don't know if you notice it, but it's just nice to have them not on sync, right? So this animation is a bit slower, this one's a bit faster, and this one's the fastest, and that's the same for the fire chargers. But again, I don't know if you notice it. The biggest thing you notice is them being not animating in sync. It's just nice if you have a full chest of them, right? And it just looks a bit more random and accurate as well, right? You can see redstone here, just nice. I love this tiny little change, just the stack changing. It's a super immersive. Paper, a bit of a wild card. I decided to have it at 48. It's a bit weird, maybe it's a bit random, so it's not 32, but this looks like really a big stack of paper. It almost looks like a book, and I didn't really vibe. You know, I only made one texture basically that I thought fits my vision, and then I don't know, I just thought it fit best at 48. So you still have this mechanic, and anywhere else you just have single sheets of paper until you have I guess bigger than 48, right, is the point. And paper is also one of those items where even if you have a full stack and you drop it on the ground, it still looks like loose papers, because otherwise it would look like multiple stacks of paper, right? Bones, basically just a tiny little feature, have one bone or have two, and that's it. It doesn't change anything else. But crossbones are just so iconic. I had to have them. And this idea I saw from Vaderman24, who pioneered these sorts of resource pack features. If you're playing on an older Minecraft version, you should definitely check out his page. And he's also going to be porting his packs to newer versions. So become a fan of Vaderman24. You know, he's done stack size dependent items like 8 years ago. I'm only doing them now that this is possible in vanilla, and I can like neatly do stuff like this, right? Like the paper stack not turning into dropped multiple stacks of paper, right? Now I'm doing this, but he is done like crossbones for bones like 8 years ago, right? So he's like an OG of the game, and that's something he did, and it just looks real nice. Like crossbones are just so iconic. So that's the only change to bone. Another wildcard item that just changes one bone or two or you know, anything else, right? Basically. And the rest, I mean, you get it. It's just different ball sizes. You know, I tried to have this make sense as much as I could for the slime ball. This is just a default texture. I didn't even add a texture, just using the raw vanilla texture and then changing it, to be bigger. And I also, try to have it look slimy, which I think is a good look for the slime ball. Obviously, just the effect, it works real well. I love this big ass slime ball that takes up a full slot. Like, it really signifies this is a lot of slime, right? It's just super dynamic. And I have a lot more stuff, and this is kind of crazy. I mean, this is a big update. I'm hoping to pioneer a lot here since these are new features. Yeah, so what obviously you notice is if you get a full stack of seeds, it starts at 60 again. It's kind of lame to have a sprite only show up on one number, because then the number 64 might as well be branded into it, right? Because it's just part of the sprite at that point. So I started at 60, just means you have a lot. You got 4 more to go till the full stack. Then the seeds turn into these seed packets, which just look real nice. And you can't put multiple items in an item frame, so you could never get a stack of items in an item frame, so you could never get a seed packet. But I made it so if you rename any of these seeds, so we got melon seeds here. As you can see, it's super tiny. It's a melon seed, I guess, right? Rename it to seed packet, and its texture will also change to the stack item, which is mostly useful for item frames, right? That's where this is nice. But yeah, moving on, as you can see, the melon seeds, all the seeds have been split up. And this is also a place where I, made sure that the math checks out. And this is so dumb. Who cares? I mean, I guess unless the pitcher pot, because it's such a big, it's fine. The pitcher pot is fine. So if it's at 60, it turns into a little flower pack, and that's it. Otherwise, it's just little seeds. And then, you put it on the stack and put them in the little bag. It's nice, right? These bags should also be color-coded to the seed colors, right? So if, green, obviously, and then, I guess cardboard colored. I made these orange, just thought it looked nice. Pitcher pots, same color as the seed. Pumpkin seeds, obviously the same, and melon seeds, a bit of a darker package. And that's it. And then, I made, I did this insane thing where, now you have one little seed, and then you put them together, and the math doesn't start. There you go. Now it starts mathing. See, now it's 4. Because I have different textures for every level that a seed can be at, which is ridiculous, especially for melon seeds. You can see here, I'm going to just keep increasing the numbers by holding left click, dropping one item onto the slot, and you can see that I have 9 different textures. I do. And then I also have the seed packet, right? If it turns into 60. Just really stupid. Why did I do this? So much work, but just it's kind of fun, right? And then, like I said, the math checks out. Keep dropping them. So 2, nothing changes. Now it changes to my 2 texture, so it makes 4 seeds. Now you have 6 seeds, 8 seeds. I mean, this keeps going because this is a big sprite. This is the most seeds of any type. I mean, beetroot seeds only has 4 changes. These only have 3, right? I mean, the melon seeds are obviously the most nuts. And yeah, the math will just keep mathing until we get to the max stack size, which might be this. Maybe one more. Oh, one more. Okay, there you go. And now it'll keep being this. And it never changes to a seed packet because I don't want a stack of seed packets. All right, it's that simple. And I guess we can just watch all these items kind of deteriorate as we drop them on the ground, you know, seeds disappearing. I mean, I think it's a fun mechanic, especially like walking around with one little seed. Like, is this not super immersive? You have one little seed and you put it in there, and then it grows a little plant, right? Anyways, we'll move on. So yeah, pumpkin seeds, drop them and the number decreases, which is just funny. Wheat seeds. I mean, you get it. It's exactly the same, just a lot of work to do it for all of these. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, enjoy it. I think it's great. I think this is fun. Fun to see this happen, right? And it also changes the items. So now they look like single seeds. Also in the inventory, if we go to seeds, you know, you see these are like drastically changed, very tiny. And that might be problematic. Why are they so tiny? I mean, this is definitely the new tiniest item in the game right now, this one. But isn't that super immersive? I mean, have you never lost your single melon seed? Imagine if you kept track of a single melon seed. You just put it in a chest somewhere, put it in your pockets all the time, go outside. You don't think you would ever lose it, right? I mean, this is just immersive, having the single melon seed be so tiny. Get more seeds. And problem solved. You won't lose it so easily, right? Okay, there's a few more crops that I've done stuff for. I mean, this is just really basic. Golden carrots, carrots, and wheat. Changing at half a stack. So, you know, if you split them apart twice, you see that the item changes. The wheat texture just gets a bit bigger, and it gets a green band around it, like the OG programmer art texture. Just thought that could be like a nice nod, right? Because, I don't know, you need something stronger to tie it around because it's more wheat. I don't know, just a nice excuse to have the programmer art texture in there. And same for carrots. If you have less than 32 carrots, it'll look like just a single carrot. And then at 32 or more, you get a bunch of them. Same, you know, exact same sprite for the golden carrots, which is a reference to the OG texture for carrots. I don't know if many people will remember this. This wasn't even in the full release of any Minecraft version, I think. When they were adding carrots, there was one sprite that they had at one point of a bunch of carrots, and that was going to be the sprite for carrots, and then it changed it to a single carrot. But yeah, this is like a reference to that. I sprited it myself, and I think it's a good take on a bunch of carrots. So, you know, fun little detail for a few more crops. And I got even more. I went all out. I thought of all the stuff I wanted to do, everything that could be satisfying. I mean, obviously we got cocoa beans. There's no seed packet for cocoa beans. I could have done it. I just didn't do it. I mean, okay, it doesn't really make sense. So you got 6 of them. You toss them on the ground, and they become less. And then the math will also math out. So quick to cover, cocoa beans. String, very exciting. One piece of string has been changed to look like this, right? Just like a single item. And then the way the string item was, it was just nicer to divide this up into a bit of different chunks than I usually would. Like for most items, obviously, I do jumps from 21 items. So you have 1 plus 21 is 22, plus 21 is 43. But string, I don't know, the item, just the way the default item sprite, which I used for 30 in this case, the way it looks, just somehow it works better when divided up into 4 chunks. So if you have one string, or 1 through 14, right? I mean, you get the system at this point. You have this little piece of string, and it just becomes longer. And then this is the default sprite. At 30, it becomes the default sprite. At 45, you have a bit of a bigger sprite, so even more string. And then at 60, it turns into a spool. Which is just really nice. I mean, any resource pack could just texture string to look like a spool, and it would just make sense. And now I've done that, but only if it's a stack. So just, I don't know, a really exciting change to include more items, I guess, right? Do more sprites, do more creative stuff. Pumpkin pie, I mean, probably the item I'm least proud of. I mean, I'm gonna be real. I mean, I don't know if this is a good sprite. Try to give myself some hunger so I can eat this. The only change I did is starting at 5, it changes to the default sprite, and it stays that way. We gotta eat quick to negate this extreme hunger that we have. You see that? We're just eating the pie. You know, it just keeps decreasing in chunks until we get to 1 chunks, and you know, that's it. We just ate the whole pie, and yeah, that's what I did. Otherwise, it always stays just the default sprites, because I didn't want to like stack them up or anything, because then you're just munching on stacked pies, right? I mean, kind of strange. I think the pumpkin pie is already a weird item, but it's nice. I might have to revise these textures at some point, because maybe they're a bit questionable. These sprites that I made, I don't know if they're super good. Definitely the worst sprites that I've done in this update, but okay, here they are. Pumpkin pie also has stack dependent items. Buckets and bowls, really simple. Different items at 1 bucket, 2 buckets, or 3 buckets. And at 3 buckets, it's actually bigger than the slot. It sticks out a little bit in order for me to texture this properly. And yeah, same for bowls. Just have 1 bowl, stack them into each other, and then the 3 bowls just stays, you know, that's just a stack. I mean, that's fine. That's a good representation of a bunch of bowls. Wind charges. First of all, I gave them a custom model, right? Normally this is a flat item sprite. In my pack, it makes more sense for it to be 3D. For example, I have boats in my pack, right? They're not a flat item sprite. They're just represented representative of the item that they become if you place them down, which is the way I like to roll. And the wind charges made sense to have them have, you know, a 3D model as well, considering that when you throw them, they're definitely 3D. So a spinning animated 3D model, and then when you get 32 or more of them, it becomes a bit bigger. Super stupid. I mean, I don't even know if people will notice this, but I was doing it and I figured I can do it, might as well do it. It's technically a ball item, like how I have the other balls done as well. So, you know, it's just, I don't know, whatever. But again, it does really make this immersive effect when you're starting to run out of them. And when it reaches the threshold for the item, in this case, it's 32. It dynamically changes to a bit of a smaller ball. I don't even know if nobody's gonna notice it. I think it's good though. I think it's fun. Pretty subtle, but you know, I could have just not done it. All right, I did it anyway. I mean, leads, just what makes sense, right? You got a single lead and it's just the default lead item. And if you get more than 31, it changes to this, I don't know, just obviously it's just a rolled up lead, right? It's a longer lead. You have more lead now. Right, and that's it, basically. A fun texture, I thought. Blaze powder, simply a bit of a bigger pile at 32. A little dynamic change. Dried kelp, so stupid, you barely notice it. You can see it change, but you do barely notice it. I mean, we'll try to get a view of the item. Yeah, it is different, but when I made this is what I wanted to make. I wanted to make just stacked dried kelp. But then when I made it, I saw the change. It was like so minimal. I was like, no, I'll just remove it. But then I thought, well, removing it is also dumb. I don't have anything for dried kelp otherwise. So I just left it in. And I know it's dumb. Okay, I just want you guys to know that I also know that this is a dumb, insignificant change, but it's also there. So technically, dried kelp has it too. Ink sacks, pretty cool. They get a bit of a different sprite. They fill up a little bit, you know, and then when they're full, they're just this full bag. I mean, you get it. You're seeing the mechanisms at work here. What's going on? What am I doing? All right, stop. Great, good. Prismarine crystals, nothing changes at a full stack, but the default sprite is of 3 crystals. I don't know, you got 3 of them, you throw them on the ground, and then they turn into 1. I don't know, whatever. It's a new change, just something I thought made sense. Then my change for gas tiers. This is the default gas tier. Didn't have to add a texture, just reference the default gas tier. This was my gas tier. Turn it into a separate texture, and now I use it for if you have more than 22 gas tiers. And then I made a new sprite, just an even bigger gas tier. You know, it's just a liquid. Really like this effect. You know, the item just gets smaller, and that's it. That's all I'm doing this for. And then honeycomb is the same deal. This is the default item, the one at 22. And then you know, I thought it would be nice to also make the item smaller because it's made sense. Right, so now this is 1 wax now, and then if you get, you know, obviously more than 22, it turns into this. And if you get even more, it turns into this just massive sheet of honeycomb. You gotta love this, right? Just watching these items just become smaller, just so immersive. This makes me want to play survival, collect a chest full of items, just have it be more dynamic, right? I got 1 more chest of items I've done. It's all the dies, nothing spectacular going on. To save myself some time, I only did it for, you know, at half a stack it changes. So at 32, it changes into these kind of bigger piles. I'll just show them changing for all the die types, but it's just exactly what you'd expect. There's not much creativity going on here. Just figured if I'm doing it for all the powders and all the dies, you know, I might as well do it for these as well. And these are all just even recolors of each other, so who cares? There you go, white dye, blue dye, we're done. By the way, has anyone ever pointed out that light gray dye totally looks like a little chick? Like a little dove, maybe? It's like uncanny. The bigger one that I made accidentally just looks like it even more because of how much this one looks like a little chick or like a little dove, or I don't know what this is, like a little bird. Anyways, yeah, I mean, pretty kind of cool. You get more dye because it's a bit of a bigger item stack. It's fun. And yeah, that's it. That's its pack update. It's a lot of content though. I worked on this for a while. Like the video, all right? Like, subscribe, get my pack if you're a fan of this stuff. Obviously, you can rename all the seeds to seed packets. Here's the full collection of them. These are pitcher pods. Renamed to seed packet. Torchflower seeds renamed. Pumpkin seeds, wheat seeds. I mean, you get it. You can look at the icon, you get it. And then, you know, this is just for item frame purposes, right? So you can do this. All right, that's it. You can make a little market stall, or I don't know. I mean, this is real nice. I mean, I'm definitely going to be labeling my barrels with these seed packets. I think they're really cute. Somehow this awakens something like Animal Crossing-ish or like Stardew Valley-ish in me. And I love it. Just like little seed packets. Just super immersive. If you want to make these for yourself, I recommend you get my pack. Look at how I do it. And I mean, this sort of code might be really overwhelming. At this point, I'm pretty familiar with it, right? This is just like a little code block that you can keep copying, right? And if you want to add another entry to it. But if this is really overwhelming, you can also just copy all the code in one of my JSON files for the items that have, it's range dispatch, all right? The range dispatch, property count, and then the scale is just the item size. So the scale for Snowballs, for example, would be 16. So that's how you do it. And then if you go to this site, I'll link it in the description like I always do. And on the bottom right here, you replace the code that's there with the code of my JSON file. The preview will fail, ignore this, it doesn't matter. It's basically because the models in referencing, right? Like arrow 3 doesn't exist in default, right? So this site's like, ooh, it doesn't exist. But yeah, basically look at this site, it's real nice. You can select all these types, and you know, when you're making your own itemstates, you can also just make them from scratch. Just simply go to presets. You have an acacia boat, for example, and now that I know it's range dispatch, right? The property is count, and then the scale of it, again, you saw it in my file, it's 6. It's just the max item count, basically, is how we're gonna do it. And then we add some entries, and this can be anything. If you just want to reference an item sprite, you do this, and we'll have the acacia button. We'll have the acacia boat look like an acacia button when there is one of it. And then, you know, I don't know, then we add another entry, and it's also just a bot model. And we'll turn it into a fence gate wall open on the count of 3. If it becomes 3 of an item, it changes to that. And that's just how it works, right? And you can go all the way up to 64, and then you know, you can remove this. This is unused. And then add a fallback, which is just always needed. I think you just always add a fallback, which should just be, what item is this? Acacia boat, right? Acacia boat. There you go. The fallback should be the default item. And this already works. So that's how you do this, all right? The site helps a lot. I just learned this by going through the options and seeing all the properties for the options and all the other stuff involved. And you learn a lot. You can also just, like I said, just copy the code of my working JSON file, just put it in the bottom right here. It saves you some discovering, right? Now you know that it's done this way, and you can copy it for your own file. Or if you're handy with code, you could also just, you know, swap out these code blocks, change the data how you need it, so, you know, how to have it show up at 1. Well, I mean, that's essentially the same as 0, but you get the point, and then have these be your. That's how I do it now at this point. I don't use the site every time. I just copy an existing JSON file that I've done that functions the way that I need it to function, and then I just interchange information. And that's what I recommend you do too. Get my pack, take it apart so you can learn for yourself, and that's how you know that I'm a real one. Look at me, I'm an OG at this shit right now. Well, Vaderman24 is the real OG, of course. Putting respect on his name. Yeah, tell your friends, like the channel and the channel. You can even like the channel. Like the video, right? Like the video and you know, subscribe to the channel. That's what you do. Check out the Barely Default resource pack. It's my pack. It's really great. It's the best default pack. You know, if you're a pack maker, don't be intimidated. No, be intimidated. We also have a data pack that I do with the magnificent CYKLOPPS, who codes everything in the data pack. It's a glorious data pack. We just got it started, one version of it, but become a fan of it because we're doing better Minecraft stuff like this. And I guess that's everything that I have to say and show you guys. So thanks for watching, and bye-bye.